Hello and welcome, my friend. Tonight, we begin a journey together, one that isn't about adding something new to you, but about uncovering what has been within you all along. This is the story of You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. A guidebook not of rules and restrictions, but of permission. Permission to be bold. Permission to trust yourself. Permission to finally stop shrinking so the world feels more comfortable, and instead step into the power that has always been yours. If you find this summary helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to BookSnap, and comment below the title of the book you'd like us to summarize next. We'll make it happen soon. Now, close your eyes, settle into the rhythm of your breath, and let's wander into this story together. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a vast field at dawn. The grass is cool beneath your feet, dew shimmering like tiny diamonds. For years, you've watched this field from afar, never daring to walk into it because of all the stories you've told yourself, that you weren't ready, that you weren't worthy, that somehow greatness belonged to other people but not to you. And then you hear a voice, playful yet commanding, whispering with a grin. You are a badass. You just have to start acting like it. This is Jen Sincero's voice. Sharp, humorous, and unashamed. She does not sugarcoat the truth. She doesn't offer the kind of soft comfort that lets you stay in the same place. Instead, she shakes you awake, like a friend who grabs your shoulders and says, "Look at your life. Look at the power you've been wasting. Are you ready to stop pretending you're less than you are?" In these opening moments, the book paints a clear picture of what's at stake. We are, each of us, born with immense potential. Yet somewhere along the way, we trade that potential for safety, for approval, for familiarity. We learn to doubt our instincts. We measure ourselves against the people around us. We settle for good enough because the idea of reaching for great feels too terrifying. And so we build invisible cages out of our fears, our excuses, and our inherited beliefs. But here's the question. What if those cages aren't locked? What if they never were? Sincero begins with a bold proposition, that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. Not fate, not your past, not even the circumstances you were born into. The real barrier is the belief that you don't deserve more. And the moment you challenge that belief, the walls begin to crumble. You take a step into the field. The sun is rising, the light spilling like liquid fire across the horizon. For the first time, you realize you've been waiting for permission that no one else can give you. You see the possibility of rewriting your own story, of stepping out of the smallness you've been taught to accept. But then, almost immediately, you feel the old voices creep back in. "Who do you think you are?" they whisper. "People like you don't get to live amazing lives. You'll fail, you'll look foolish, and everyone will see." It's jarring how quickly your own mind becomes your greatest critic. And this, Jen insists, is where the work begins. Her opening chapters are less like reading a book and more like being called out by a mentor who refuses to let you waste another year. She dismantles the myth that we're victims of our circumstances and reminds you that believing in your own worth isn't arrogance. It's necessity. When you see yourself as someone powerful, capable, and worthy, you make decisions from that place of strength. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop making excuses for staying small. Standing in that imagined field, you notice something. Every step you take forward, those voices grow quieter. Every time you decide to move, even with trembling knees, you discover that the ground beneath you is solid. The light grows warmer, and with it comes a realization. Greatness is not reserved for the chosen few. It is not a lottery prize. It is your birthright. The first step of this journey, then, is not about doing more. It is about remembering who you already are. The book begins by stripping away the illusion that you need to be fixed. You are not broken. You are not incomplete. You are not a collection of failures, mistakes, or fears. You are a force of life itself, born to expand, to create, to shine. It's a radical thought. And perhaps it makes you uncomfortable. Perhaps part of you resists the idea that you are powerful, that you are worthy, that you are enough. That resistance, too, is part of the process. As Sincero emphasizes, the inner critic will not vanish overnight. It has been fed for years by repetition, by stories, by culture, by self-doubt. But if a thought can be learned, it can also be unlearned. You pause in the field. The sun now hangs higher, spilling its gold across the tall grass. You realize that this book isn't just telling you something new. It is daring you to believe something you've always known but were too afraid to admit. That you are far more powerful, more capable, more extraordinary than you have ever allowed yourself to believe. The journey has only just begun. You've taken the first step. The voice of the badass within you is awake, and it is asking, are you ready to finally stop doubting yourself? You stand in that glowing field of possibility, and yet something tugs at your ankles, pulling you back toward the shadows you thought you had left behind. It's not the earth itself, not chains of iron or walls of stone. It is softer, subtler, and far more persistent. These are the limiting beliefs you've been carrying, often without even realizing it. They whisper in your mind like ghosts. You're not good enough. People like you don't succeed. Stay small. Stay safe. Jen Sincero invites you to look at those whispers with unflinching honesty. She reminds you that most of them aren't even yours. They are hand-me-down thoughts from parents, teachers, friends, or a culture that raised you to play by invisible rules. Maybe you were told money is evil, so you never dared to dream of abundance. Maybe you were told that artists starve, so you buried your creative spark under a real job. Maybe someone laughed at your dream once and that echo still lives in your chest, convincing you not to try. You picture these beliefs as heavy stones tucked into your pockets, each one labeled with words you've heard: selfish, lazy, unrealistic, unworthy. Over the years, you've collected them, carrying them without question. No wonder you've struggled to fly. How can you soar when you're weighted down by rocks that were never truly yours? Sincero describes how we often confuse facts with beliefs. A fact is something solid. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. The sun rises in the east. A belief, however, is just a thought you've repeated so many times it feels real. She urges you to challenge those old beliefs the way you'd question a bad story someone keeps retelling at a dinner party. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's true. In this moment, standing in the field of your imagination, you pull one of the stones from your pocket. It reads, "I'm not smart enough." You turn it over, studying it closely. Where did this belief come from? Perhaps a teacher once compared you to someone else. Maybe you failed a test, and that single event hardened into a lifelong label. But when you really examine the stone, you realize it's just a story etched by someone else's hand. It only has power because you've been carrying it. With a deep breath, you set it down in the grass. The field seems to widen. The air feels lighter, and you begin to understand something crucial. You can choose which thoughts to feed. Sincero uses humor to make this truth less intimidating. She points out how ridiculous it is that we let our subconscious beliefs run the show, like a 6-year-old holding the keys to a Ferrari. We claim we want success, love, adventure, but deep down we whisper things like, "I don't deserve it," or "I'm not ready." The universe listens, she says. It reflects back exactly what we believe. If you send out signals of fear, scarcity, or unworthiness, you'll see those signals confirmed everywhere you look. But there's another possibility. You can flip the script. You can rewrite those old messages. You can pick up a new stone, smooth and gleaming, and carve your own truth into it. I am capable. I am worthy. I am ready. In your mind's eye, you imagine slipping that new stone into your pocket. Suddenly, the ground seems firmer, your steps more certain. You realize that the beliefs you hold are like seeds. Nurture them, and they grow into the life you experience. Plant fear, and fear multiplies. Plant courage, and courage blossoms. There's a moment of pause, a breath of clarity. If beliefs are choices, then you have been choosing your reality all along, perhaps unconsciously, perhaps carelessly. And if you have that kind of power, then the question is no longer, can I? The real question becomes, what will I choose to believe about myself today? You look back at the shadowy edge of the field. The voices are still there, but they feel weaker now, like echoes fading into the distance. You're beginning to see them for what they are. Not truths, not prophecies, but old tapes playing on repeat. And tapes can be stopped. Stories can be rewritten. The prison walls dissolve the moment you realize they were made of paper all along. As the sun rises higher, you take another step forward. The light hits your face, and for the first time, you sense the possibility that living an awesome life isn't about becoming someone else. It's about peeling away the layers that never belonged to you, until what's left is the unshakable truth of who you are. The field stretches endlessly. Yet as you walk further, you begin to notice something new shimmering in the air. It's subtle at first, like a faint vibration, a hum beneath everything. Jen Sincero calls it the universal energy field, a current of possibility, invisible but ever-present, waiting for you to plug in. You pause, close your eyes, and imagine it as a river of light flowing through the earth, the sky, even through your own body. Every thought you have drops into this river like a pebble, creating ripples that spread far beyond what you can see. Most of us never realize this connection. We think we're isolated, struggling alone. But in truth, every belief you hold, every word you repeat, is a signal broadcast into this vast field. And the universe, impartial and obedient, reflects it right back. Consider the times you've muttered, "I can't afford that," or "People like me don't get breaks." Those words, shaped by the beliefs you've been carrying, flow into the current and return as experiences that prove you right. The car breaks down just when money feels tight. The opportunity passes you by because you never raised your hand. It isn't punishment, it's resonance. The energy around you mirrors the frequency you emit. Now imagine changing the signal. Picture yourself holding a radio dial in your hands. You've been tuned to static, to a station that repeats doubt and scarcity. But with one slow turn of the dial, the noise shifts. The static fades. A new song begins to play. Bold, alive, full of rhythm. This, Sincero explains, is the power of choice. When you shift your thoughts, when you speak as though your desires are already unfolding, you tune yourself to a new frequency. You stop aligning with lack and start aligning with abundance. The elder's voice in your mind returns, calm and playful. You're swimming in an ocean of miracles, but you keep clutching onto a life raft of fear. Let go. The water will hold you. You take another step into the field, and now the air itself feels charged. Colors seem sharper, the sky deeper, as if the world is responding to your decision to believe. And perhaps it is. Jen Sincero insists that believing in this energy isn't about wishful thinking. It's about recognizing a truth. When you decide something is possible, your brain and body begin to act in alignment with that belief. You start noticing opportunities you once overlooked. You take chances you once avoided. And little by little, the world bends to meet you. You think of times in your own life when you wanted something so badly that you could almost taste it, and then, somehow, events seem to align in your favor. Was it coincidence, or was it the current responding to the energy you were sending out? Sincero would say, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you see the pattern. What you believe, you attract. What you focus on, expands. The field around you pulses. It feels alive, like it has been waiting for you to notice it. And as you take another step, You sense that this is only the beginning. You've begun to tune your frequency, but there are deeper forces still holding you back. Forces that whisper from the shadows of your past, from the masks you've worn, from the words you've spoken to yourself for years. The light ahead beckons you forward. You begin to wonder, if my thoughts can shape reality, what happens when I finally learn to speak and think as if I already am the person I long to be? The river of light continues to hum beneath your feet, and as you walk further into the open field, you notice how your own thoughts begin to echo in the air around you. Every sentence you whisper to yourself seems to take shape, like mist rising, curling and coloring the world. Jen Sincero wants you to see what most people never do. Your thoughts and your words are not harmless. They are architects. Each one lays a brick, plants a seed, paints a stroke on the canvas of your life. Think back to the times you've muttered, "I'm terrible with money," or "I'll never find love," or "I can't do this." At first, those words feel like fleeting confessions, harmless frustrations. But the truth is, your subconscious isn't laughing along with you. It listens, it records, and then it sets out to prove you right. The stories you tell about yourself become the lens through which you see the world, and the lens through which the world sees you. You look up at the horizon, and for a moment the sky seems to split in two. On one side, dark storm clouds form, heavy with doubt, each one shaped like a phrase you've whispered in frustration. "I'm not talented enough. I don't deserve more. What if I fail?" On the other side, a softer glow spreads, filled with words you've rarely dared to say out loud. "I am powerful. I am capable. I am ready." The choice is clear. Whichever words you repeat most often will gather, like clouds or light, until they become the weather of your life. Sincero compares it to feeding a dog. If you constantly feed the dog of doubt, it grows strong, barking louder and louder in your mind. But if you stop feeding it and instead nourish the dog of belief, love, and courage, that one will thrive. The one you feed is the one that leads you. You remember moments when your words betrayed you. Maybe a friend once complimented you and you brushed it off. "Oh, it's nothing." Or when you dismissed your own accomplishments, "I just got lucky." Each time you did, you sent a message to the universe that you didn't truly value yourself. You feel the sting of those moments now, like hearing your own voice on a recording, realizing how unkind it can be. Then you try something different. You whisper, "I am worthy of abundance. I am powerful beyond measure. I am a badass." The words hang in the morning air like lanterns, glowing brighter than the sun. For a moment it feels strange, maybe even silly, but you notice how your body responds. Your chest lifts, your shoulders loosen. A spark of energy moves through you, as though the field itself is responding to the new signal you've chosen to send. This, Jen explains, is the essence of affirmations. Not empty phrases, but rewiring. You are training your mind to believe in a new truth. You're giving your subconscious a new script to follow. And when your inner world changes, your outer world rearranges to match it. Ahead of you, a figure appears. A version of yourself you've always wanted to be. Confident, radiant, walking with ease. They turn to you and smile as if to say, "I've been here all along. You just had to believe me into existence." As you step closer, you feel the two of you begin to merge. It isn't a sudden transformation, but a merging of voices. The old whispers grow faint, and the new words grow strong. You're no longer asking, "Am I good enough?" You're declaring, "I am ready to rise." And in that declaration, the field responds again, carrying your voice forward, out into the unseen spaces of the universe. The truth is simple, yet life-changing. Your words are spells. Speak them with intention, and they will shape the world around you. The path ahead glows brighter. The horizon seems closer. You feel the current of energy pulling you forward, and you know the journey is about to lead you into even deeper territory. A place where belief alone is not enough, where love for yourself becomes the foundation of everything you wish to build. You pause along the glowing path, watching that brighter version of yourself fade into the horizon, leaving only the echo of their smile. For a moment, the silence around you grows thick. You realize something you've been avoiding all along. No matter how many affirmations you whisper, no matter how many dreams you chase, if deep down you do not love yourself, you will always sabotage your own success. Jen Sincero is blunt about it. She says the way you treat yourself sets the standard for how the world treats you. If you roll your eyes at your reflection, dismiss your achievements, or drag around guilt from the past like a heavy sack, then you're teaching life that you don't believe you deserve joy. And life, like a mirror, will simply reflect that back. You picture yourself standing before a pool of water in this dreamlike field. The surface is still a perfect mirror. You look down, and at first all you can see are the criticisms you've collected, the things you've called yourself, the judgments you've believed, the regrets you've carried. They float across the reflection like dark ink. Your instinct is to look away. But you stay. You keep looking. You force yourself to face the image. And in that uncomfortable stillness, you begin to see what you've been missing. The softness in your own eyes, the strength in your stance, the light that flickers quietly behind all the self-doubt. It's as if the pool is reminding you that beneath every story of failure, there is a truth you've forgotten, that you are enough, exactly as you are. Sincero insists that loving yourself is not indulgent, it is not selfish, it is survival. When you love yourself, you stop tolerating relationships that drain you, jobs that shrink you, and beliefs that poison you. You raise your standards, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for who you are. You think of the times you've said yes when you meant no, the times you accepted less pay, less love, less joy, simply because you thought you couldn't ask for more. Each of those moments was like turning away from your own reflection, pretending not to see yourself. Now you begin to wonder what would happen if you did the opposite. If, instead of dismissing your desires as too much, you honored them as whispers from your soul. The pool shimmers again. This time, instead of dark ink, you see a golden glow spreading across its surface, illuminating your reflection. The version of you in the water doesn't flinch, doesn't apologize. They look back at you with a calm, steady gaze that says, "You are worthy of every dream, every joy, every ounce of love." Jen's words echo. If you want to live an awesome life, you have to choose to believe that you deserve one. You must practice love the way you'd practice an instrument, every day, in small ways, until it becomes natural. Maybe that means catching yourself when you say something cruel about your body and replacing it with kindness. Maybe it means forgiving yourself for mistakes you've carried for years and finally laying them down on the grass of that wide field. The truth is, you can never create a life you love while secretly believing you don't deserve it. The energy field doesn't respond to what you wish you believed. It responds to what you truly believe. And if you can shift that belief, if you can train your inner voice to speak love instead of doubt, then the world around you begins to bloom differently. You take another step. Flowers burst into color at your feet. A warm wind rushes through the tall grass, wrapping around you like a gentle embrace. The voice of the elder rises again, calm and playful. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you're enough. Love yourself first, and the universe will follow your lead. The field ahead is no longer just light and shadow. It is alive with possibility. And as you breathe it in, you realize the truth. Self-love isn't the destination. It is the ground you must walk on if you want to reach the life you dream of. Life you dream of. Life you dream of. The flowers at your feet sway gently as if nodding you forward, but a narrow ridge rises ahead. The field that once felt wide and safe now funnels into a rocky climb. Your chest tightens. The path looks steep, uncertain, and part of you wants to turn back to the soft grass behind. This is the moment Jen Sincero describes so vividly. the point where the comfort zone ends and the unknown begins. She calls it taking the leap, and she's quick to point out how most people never do. We cling to what is familiar, even if it suffocates us, because fear whispers that at least the cage we know is safer than the sky we don't. But here's the truth. The cage is not safety. It's slow death. The bars may protect you from risk, but they also lock you away from adventure, growth, and joy. You look at the ridge again. It's jagged, its rocks sharp and uneven. The voice inside you, the one that has always kept you small, begins its usual song. What if you fall? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you're not ready? The words weigh heavy, like an anchor tied to your ankles. And then, as if on cue, the elder's voice rises from somewhere unseen, carrying a quiet chuckle. What if you fly? It's such a simple question, yet it slices through the fog. What if the very thing you fear is the doorway to the life you want? What if falling is simply part of learning to soar? Jen shares her own stories of risk, of quitting safe jobs, of spending money she didn't have to invest in herself, of saying yes when every logical part of her screamed no. Each time, the risk cracked open a new world. Each time, it was terrifying. Each time, it was worth it. You place your hand on the rough stone of the ridge and begin to climb. At first, your grip slips. Your knees shake. Every muscle protests. But as you pull yourself higher, something unexpected happens. The fear that once felt paralyzing now feels like fuel. It is as if every beat of your heart is a drum, urging you upward. Sincero describes fear not as a stop sign, but as a compass. If something scares you, it's often because it matters. The very presence of fear means you are standing at the edge of growth. She challenges you to ask, am I letting fear drive the car of my life? Or am I putting it in the back seat, buckling it up, and telling it to shut up while I drive? You imagine yourself at the peak of the ridge. The view opens wide, revealing a horizon you couldn't see from below. The field behind you looks small now, almost like a memory, while before you stretches a new world. Valleys, mountains, rivers shining with possibility. And in that moment, you realize something important. Risk is not the enemy. Risk is the bridge. The truth is, living a safe life may keep you comfortable, but it will never make you feel alive. Playing small might protect you from failure, but it also protects you from joy, from adventure, from discovering what you're truly capable of. Loving yourself means trusting that even if you fall, you will rise again. Stronger, wiser, braver. The wind at the top of the ridge is crisp and cool. You spread your arms wide and let it rush past you. For the first time, fear doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like an invitation, a reminder that beyond the edge of comfort lies the beginning of freedom. And as you look out across the endless horizon, you begin to wonder, if risk is the bridge, then what waits for me on the other side? The horizon shimmers like molten gold as you descend from the ridge, and for the first time you notice something glinting in the grass. Coins. Dozens of them, scattered like breadcrumbs leading you forward. You crouch down and pick one up, feeling the cool metal against your palm. Instantly, old voices stir again. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. You'll never be wealthy without selling your soul. Jen Sincero pauses here in her story to make something very clear. Money is not evil. Money is energy. It is simply a tool, a current that flows where you direct it. The problem isn't the money itself. The problem is the meaning you've attached to it. If you believe that wealth is corrupt, then on some level you will push it away, even while telling yourself you want it. If you believe money is scarce, you will act from a place of scarcity, making choices that keep it scarce. You look at the coin in your hand. At first, you want to drop it, afraid that holding it makes you greedy. But then you imagine what that coin could do. Not just for you, but for everyone around you. It could buy a book that changes your perspective. It could pay for a trip that expands your world. It could help someone in need. It is not a symbol of corruption. It is a symbol of possibility. Sincero explains that money magnifies who you already are. If you are kind, generous, and driven by love, then money becomes a megaphone for that love. If you are fearful and small, then money, or the lack of it, amplifies that too. The energy of money flows most freely when you stop treating it like a villain and start treating it like an ally. As you follow the trail of coins through the field, the landscape shifts. The tall grass gives way to a bustling marketplace filled with color and noise. Merchants call out, children laugh, musicians play in the corners, and the air smells of spices and sweet fruit. Everywhere you look, there is exchange. Goods for coins, smiles for smiles, energy for energy. You realize that this is what money really is. Not a cold number in a bank account, but a living dance of giving and receiving. Yet, a shadow looms at the edge of the market. It's the same figure of doubt, cloaked in whispers. It leans close and hisses, "You can't have what they have. You don't deserve it. Who are you to want more?" This is where Jen's message cuts sharp. She tells you that wanting more freedom, more love, more abundance, is not selfish. It is your birthright. The desire itself is a compass pointing you toward growth. The world thrives when people who are alive with purpose have the resources to share their gifts. She laughs at the idea that being broke is somehow noble, and she challenges you to replace the thought, "I can't afford it," with, "How can I afford it?" Because one shuts the door, while the other invites possibility. You stop in the center of the market. The coins at your feet glow brighter, forming a path that leads not just to material wealth, but to freedom. The freedom to create, to give, to live on your own terms. You close your fist around the coin in your hand, and in that simple gesture, you feel something shift inside you. You are no longer rejecting abundance. You are saying yes. Yes to opportunity. Yes to possibility. Yes to the idea that you are worthy of living a life filled with joy, passion, and prosperity. The elder's voice rises again, carried on the sound of the marketplace. Money is not your enemy. It is a tool, a partner, a current. Let it flow to you, and let it flow through you. The more you allow it in, the more you can share. You lift your eyes from the coin, and the market around you seems to shimmer with life. The colors deepen. The laughter grows brighter. And you begin to wonder, if money is just energy, then how else can I align myself with the flow of life? What happens when I not only believe in my own power, not only love myself fully, but also learn to trust the current that has been carrying me all along? You step off the marketplace path, the coins fading back into the earth as if they were never there. The hum of voices softens, and in its place you hear something quieter, steadier, like the hush of wind weaving through trees. The field has shifted once more, and now you stand at the edge of a river. The water glides smoothly, unhurried, carrying leaves and light across its surface. Jen Sincero describes life as this river, a flow of energy that is always moving, always guiding, always available. But most of us fight it. We thrash against the current, insisting we know better, gripping the banks of our comfort zones as if the river itself is out to drown us. And yet the river is not our enemy. The river is life, and life is designed to carry us toward growth, toward joy, toward our highest expression. The struggle comes not from the current but from our refusal to trust it. You kneel by the water's edge and dip your hand in. The current pulls at your fingers, cool and steady, inviting you to step deeper. But fear flares again. What if the river takes me somewhere I don't want to go? What if I lose control? The questions feel sharp, like stones under your skin. The elder's voice rises from across the water, low and knowing. Control is an illusion. The more you cling, the less you live. Surrender, and you'll see the river is carrying you to the place you've always longed for. You take a step into the river. The water swirls around your legs. At first, every muscle tenses, fighting against the pull. But then you let go. You stop racing. You allow yourself to float. And something astonishing happens. The river doesn't consume you. It holds you, lifts you, carries you gently forward. The sky above is painted in streaks of gold and violet, the colors of a new beginning, and you realize that surrender is not weakness. It is trust in the greater rhythm of life. Sincero calls this the art of surrender. Not giving up, but giving over. It means releasing the need to micromanage every outcome, every step, every how. Too often, she says, we waste our lives waiting to know the entire path before taking the first step. But the river doesn't reveal its full journey at once. It shows you only the water directly in front of you and asks you to trust that it will continue to flow, to carry you where you need to go. You think of the times you've clung tightly to plans that fell apart, the jobs that didn't work out, the relationships that dissolved, the dreams that slipped through your fingers. Each time, you thought you had failed. But what if those endings were the river redirecting you? What if every detour was part of a larger design you couldn't yet see? The water carries you further downstream, and suddenly the banks open wide. You see green hills rolling into the distance, wildflowers bursting in every direction, sunlight spilling across the horizon. None of this was visible from where you started. You had to trust the river long enough to be carried here. Jen reminds you, when you release the need to control, you free yourself to receive. Miracles rarely arrive in the exact package you expect. Opportunities often come disguised as risks, challenges, or even failures. But when you let go of how it should look, you make space for something greater to arrive. Floating gently, you realize something important. Surrender is not passive. It is not about drifting aimlessly. It is about aligning yourself so fully with the current of life that you move with it, not against it. You become a partner with the flow. You say yes to its guidance, even when you can't see the entire map. The elder appears again, standing on the opposite bank, his robes stirring in the wind. He lifts his hand in a gesture that feels both like a blessing and a challenge. Life is always on your side, he says. Your only task is to trust it. The more you surrender, the more the universe can do for you. The river knows where it's going. Let it carry you. You close your eyes, letting the water lift you, letting it carry you forward without struggle. And as the current pulls you deeper into the unknown, you feel a strange sense of peace. Perhaps this is what it means to truly live. Not to fight the river, but to flow with it. The banks slip away behind you, the sound of the marketplace fading like a distant memory. Ahead, you see the glimmer of a new world rising from the horizon. And in the quiet of your own heart, a question forms. If surrender is the key, then what will it take to act with courage when the river carries me to the next great adventure? The river has carried you far, and now you find yourself stepping onto solid ground once more. The landscape is different here. A wide plain, bathed in warm sunlight, dotted with paths that stretch in every direction. Some are narrow and winding, others broad and straight. For a moment, the sheer number of choices feels overwhelming. Which way do you go? Which path leads to the life you've always dreamed of? Jen Sincero makes the answer simple. You must choose with intention. Life does not reward hesitation, it rewards clarity. Too often we say we want something, a new career, a healthier body, deeper love, but we whisper it half-heartedly, as though afraid to claim it. We leave our dreams vague, undefined, hoping they'll just magically appear. But the universe, she reminds us, can only respond to what we declare with conviction. You recall times when you said you wanted change but stayed still. You dreamed of starting that business yet never took the first step. You longed for freedom, yet clung to routines that kept you trapped. It's like standing at a crossroads and refusing to pick a direction, waiting for the road itself to choose for you. But roads don't choose. Rivers flow, yes, but you must decide when to step in, where to swim, and how to meet the current. As you stand on the plain, you see the elder seated once again, this time on a stone ledge. The children gather near him, listening, their eyes wide and glowing in the sunlight. He looks up at you, as if expecting you to finally say it aloud. Not a vague wish, not a half-murmured maybe, but a clear command to the universe. This is what I want. This is who I am becoming. You draw in a breath, and for the first time, you hear yourself speak without hesitation. The words ring out across the plain, carried on the wind. And something remarkable happens. The path you've chosen glows brighter, as if the ground itself has been waiting for your decision. The other roads fade, not out of anger, but out of respect. The world has heard you, and it is responding. Sincero calls this the power of intention. It is the act of deciding, fully and unapologetically, what you want. But intention alone is not enough. The universe loves clarity, but it also demands proof. Proof in the form of action. Words plant the seed, but action waters it. Without movement, even the most beautiful dream will wither. You step onto the glowing path, and the earth feels alive beneath your feet. With each step, the colors around you shift, responding to your choice. You remember Sincero's reminder. Action is not something you wait to take until you feel ready. Readiness is an illusion, just like control. The only way to be ready is to move, to act, to leap before you know exactly how it will unfold. You see a staircase forming ahead, carved into the air itself, rising toward the horizon. Each step appears only after you lift your foot. This is how intention works. You don't get the entire staircase at once. You get one step, and only when you trust enough to climb it does the next step appear. You think back to a time when you took action without knowing the outcome. Perhaps you applied for a job you didn't think you'd get. Perhaps you confessed your feelings to someone you admired. Perhaps you invested in yourself in a way that felt risky. Each time, you discovered something you could not have predicted until you moved. The elder's voice carries across the plain, steady as the heartbeat of the earth. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for permission. The moment you choose and act, you set the universe in motion. The river will meet you where you move. You climb the glowing staircase, your steps firm, your voice echoing with each move. The doubts still whisper, but they no longer control you. You have chosen your direction. You are moving, and with every step, the world is rearranging itself around your choice. The horizon rises closer. The air grows warmer, and deep inside, you begin to feel a new question rising. Not, can I do this? But how far can I go when I stop holding back? The glowing staircase fades beneath your feet, and you find yourself standing on a wide plateau, high above the field and the river you've traveled. The air is thin and sharp here, carrying the scent of possibility. You look out across the endless horizon, and for the first time you realize, this is the vantage point of someone who has claimed their own power. This is the view of a life lived with intention, love, and courage. Jen Sincero brings everything together in this final stage. She tells you that being a badass is not about perfection, arrogance, or proving yourself to anyone else. It is about stepping fully into your own story, owning your desires, and living unapologetically in alignment with who you really are. You are not here to blend in. You are here to shine. You remember the stones of doubt you left behind in the grass, the storm clouds of fear that once shadowed your sky, the moment you surrendered to the river's flow, the decision you made at the crossroads. Each step has been preparing you for this plateau. You did not arrive here by accident. You created it, choice by choice, belief by belief, action by action. In the distance, you see the version of yourself you glimpsed before. Radiant, alive, unshakably confident. They are no longer a figure separate from you. They are you. You feel their strength in your chest, their joy in your breath, their power in your steps. You are no longer waiting for permission to live. You are no longer apologizing for wanting more. You are no longer feeding the dog of doubt. Sincero reminds you that your life is happening now, not someday. The voice inside you that says, "I'll start when I'm ready," or "maybe later, when the timing is right," is just fear disguised as reason. The truth is, there will never be a perfect moment. There is only this one, the moment you are living right now, standing on this plateau with the wind rushing past you and the horizon stretching wide. You spread your arms and imagine stepping into that horizon, not as someone waiting to be enough, but as someone who already is. You see the faces of those you love, the people you want to inspire, the lives you could touch if you truly lived with courage. You realize that by holding yourself back, you've not only denied yourself joy, but you've denied the world the gift of your fullest self. The elder's voice rises one final time, rich and steady, filling the air like a drumbeat. You are a badass. You are not here to shrink, but to expand. You are not here to doubt, but to trust. You are not here to wait, but to live. The children at his side smile as if they understand. The glowing orb between them pulses once, twice, 3 times, as if marking the heartbeat of the universe itself. And you feel it, that same pulse inside your own chest. You are connected to the river, to the field, to the light, to everything. You take a step forward into the horizon. The plateau beneath you fades, but there is no fear. There is only the knowing that the current will carry you, that your thoughts and words will shape the path ahead, that your love for yourself is the ground beneath every step, and that your actions will carve the life you were born to live. You are not waiting anymore. You are no longer asking. You are declaring. You are stepping forward, not as someone hoping to be worthy, but as someone who finally understands. Worthiness is already yours. Greatness is already yours. The only task now is to live it. And so you walk into the light, not as a dreamer trapped in doubt, but as your own hero. You are powerful. You are worthy. You are ready. You are, and always have been, a badass. A badass. A badass.